Have you guys ever wondered if your tax dollars are being spent wisely? Well, wonder no more because Elon Musk has released a report proving to us that they, in fact, are not, and they are wasting your money. There's a Senate report showing that only 6% of federal workers show up in person on a full time basis. Absurd. They are being remotely professional. A paltry 6% of the federal workforce report in person on a full time basis, while almost one third of federal workers are remote on a full time basis, in a sharp turnaround from the pre pandemic era in which only 3% teleworked daily, a report from Senator Joni Ernest's office found. Ernest, who has a long crusaded against the rise in remote federal work, is planning to reveal the fruits of her office's year-and-a-half inquiry into the Department of Government Efficiency. Co-heads Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy during their visit to Capitol Thursday. The nation's capital is a ghost town with government buildings averaging an occupancy rate of 12%, Ernest wrote in a blistering report. If federal employees can't be found at their desks, where exactly are they? Musk took note of Ernst's report ahead of his meeting with lawmakers to brainstorm ways to rein in the federal bureaucracy. If you exclude security guards and maintenance personnel, the number of government workers who show up to do in-person work and 40 hours a week is closer to 1%, he wrote on his X platform. Almost no one. House Speaker Mike Johnson also highlighted the report's findings in between meetings with Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. This is absurd, and it's not something that the American people will stand for. And so one of the things I think you'll see and demand from the new administration, from all of us in Congress, is that federal workers return to their desks. Guys, I think that's too much to ask. I mean, I know you guys out there that are building the buildings, paving the road, serving in our military, doing the hard jobs that keep this country going. I want you to sleep well at night, knowing that your tax dollars, they're just not being used wisely. I'm sorry, guys, and I really hope it changes, but I'm not gonna hold my breath, okay? The Iowa Republican in particular blasted President Biden's penchant for ditching the White House for his home in Delaware or vacations with rich donors. The senator's investigation found that not a single government agency was occupying half of its office space. President Biden is setting the example. He was out of the office 532 days over the last 3.5 years. About 40% of the time, he was expected to be in the Oval Office. Her office collaborated with the Open the Books, a nonprofit group that advocates for government transparency for taxpayers, and claims that the Biden administration redacted the work locations of over 281,000 rank and file federal employees, leasing the maintenance costs for federal office buildings, as well as the tab to keep them running at about $15.7 billion annually. Meanwhile, the government has ownership of about 7,697 vacant buildings and 2,265 that are somewhat empty, costing about $15 million for leasing and maintenance of underutilized space, according to her report. I love it when the government just takes our tax dollars and wastes money. I mean, $15 million. The Hawkeye state senator concluded that taxpayers are getting ripped off and claimed that her constituents were troubled by the lack of responsiveness from various government entities such as the Social Security Administration, the Food and Drug Administration, and more. The report rattled through a handful of anecdotes and described the lack of competence from a federal government. She cited an example of a whistleblower report at the FDA that was unread for months, warning them about bacteria spreading in baby formula, which ultimately accumulated in national shortage back in 2022. Another example cited the report in which the Department of Veterans Affairs manager in Atlanta, who snapped a photo of himself while working while taking a bubble bath, stirring outrage at the time. If you think that it's not a big deal, then what is a big deal? Is it a big deal when a veteran dies? One of his colleagues later fumed. One federal employee moaned that he is one of the few who reports to Washington, D.C., and contractors have commented to him about the whereabouts of the agency employees, per the report. To further her point about taxpayers getting ripped off, Ernst cited findings that some federal employees are cashing out on higher pay from localities where they're not actually working. My audits are finding that as many as 23% to 68% of teleworking employees for some agencies are boosting their salaries by receiving incorrect locality pay, her report found. Some employees live more than 2,000 miles away from the office, and one temporary teleworker collected higher locality pay for nearly a decade. Over 25% of federal teleworkers on a daily basis live over 50 miles from their workplace, a U.S. Office of Personnel Management found. Government salaries are determined in part by the offices of the employee's official workspace. There are 58 locality pay areas with base pay of federal employees adjusted to account for the cost of living in each, the report noted. She faulted federal employees' unions for hampering efforts to compel workers to report on site for their jobs. Last year, the Biden administration demanded agencies substantially increase meaningful in-person work at federal offices. But the report recounted that some union bosses shrugged that off. The administration's new guidance on agency work environments does not override the collective bargaining agreements in effect at the agencies which we represent frontline employees. This means for the vast majority of members, their access to telework, which varies amongst agencies and types of jobs, will remain unchanged. To rectify the solution, she proposed spreading the federal workforce across the country, enacting a use it or lose it approach to federal properties. Tying permissions for remote work to performance and monitoring their locations based on virtual private networks and other steps. Okay, so this is what happens when you subsidize industry. So when industries are not meant to be competitive, you see this in education, when the unions get too strong and the government gives out money no matter how bad of a job they do, it's no wonder that you see them doing a terrible job and not showing up to work. I'm not shocked. Okay, so by the way, guys, if you guys have a question, comment, or concern, you go to the audacitynetwork.com and sign up to our memberships, and you go in the live chat, $10 a month, $80 a year, and I read your comment. Like right now, we have one from Xavier. Thank you. I just read you guys' first names. Don't worry, no last names. Can confirm this is a fact. As a consultant with DC clients, I see this firsthand. Thank you for your comment, Xavier. I usually look 2 or 3 times in the show. Now, as you guys know, I have been on the front lines the past 4 years of the simp epidemic. And I need to tell you guys about a quiet weapon being ratcheted up against men that is rarely being talked about. It's not just the relentless anti-masculinity propaganda and OnlyFans hoes causing the societal issues that we discuss on the show. Did you know that the average city's tap water contains trace pharmaceuticals and endocrine disruptors? This often includes estrogen from birth control. The average adult consumes a credit card worth of plastic every week. That's 5 grams of plastic a week on average. So it's no wonder that the average male's testosterone is half of the average 50 years ago. Estrogen levels decline 1% a year, and without a course correction, we are headed towards extinction. No matter how based you are, you need to be naturally boosting your testosterone. My friends at Chalk, CHOQ.com, are on a mission to save mankind from extinction by boosting your vitality. Chalk's male vitality stack contains premium and potent herbs clinically studied to naturally boost your testosterone levels, sperm count, and overall vitality. Just one of the many ingredients in the male vitality stack was studied in a double-blind human clinical trial to boost total testosterone 20% in 90 days. When you boost your testosterone, you'll have more mental clarity, you're more capable of making decisions and taking risks. Having high testosterone will also affect your pheromones, so women will find you more attractive subconsciously. Get the Chalk Male Vitality Stack right now on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. Use my name, Pearl, as your coupon code, and you'll get 25% off site wide on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. My name, Pearl, is the discount code. Xavier has another comment. He says lack of reporting to the office is also impacting the local businesses. No lunch rush, for instance, is killing restaurants. Yeah. You know, laziness is not a victimless crime. There's always someone that pays, either pays for them to be lazy or as a byproduct, as you can see. Okay. So the next story that we're going to cover is, many times I say that in terms of output of the jobs of men and women, men produce 80% of society's stuff. All of the stuff we see around us, men produce 80% of it. On top of that, men have a tendency to take jobs that run the infrastructure. Like, for example, if a woman is in construction, generally speaking, she's not going to be doing the toughest parts. She's going to be waving the sign on the side of the road. Not all. There are exceptions. YouTube. On here. Okay. So now Sweden has a new trend that really I think shows the difference between the genders. Oftentimes when men understand that when they go to work, it is a job. Not everybody gets the privilege of being passionate about their job. Most people in life do not get the privilege of loving their job. Most people show up because there's a job and it needs to get done, or it's well paid. Unfortunately, we have a tendency to take lower paying jobs that we're passionate about and often don't have a future. I'll give you guys an example. I don't see a lot of men getting gender studies degrees. And if you look at the data, it's primarily women. Why? Because that's something that the women are passionate about. And you see this in the current trend that is going on in Sweden. So there is a soft girl trend that celebrates women quitting work. Sweden has a global reputation for championing gender equality. So why are young women embracing a social media trend that celebrates quitting work? Vilma Larson, 25, previously had jobs at a grocery store, a care home, and a factory, but she quit work a year ago to become a stay-at-home girlfriend and says she's never been happier. My life is softer, I'm not struggling, and I am not very stressed. Her boyfriend works remotely in finance, and while he spends his days on his laptop, she's at the gym, out for coffee, or cooking. The couple grew up in a small town in central Sweden, but now travel a lot and now are spending the winter in Cyprus. So again, we fought for this equality. And, oftentimes I think the men, they get together and they say, are they sure they want a man's life? Are they sure? Are you guys sure you want these jobs? We don't love them. We just do them. Are you ladies sure? And then we come out and we say, please let us do the jobs that you're doing. Please, we're dying to. We want to go in the military. Please, can we go into corporate America? Please, we want to do it. And the they roll their eyes and they say, all right, have fun. Go at it. We don't want to hear you guys complain, so fine. And then we go into a man's world, we get treated like a man, and oftentimes we don't like it, as you see in this case right here. Every month he gives me a salary from his money that he made, but if I need more, I'll ask him. Or if I need less, I just save the rest, she explains. She shares on her lifestyle on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where she's amassed 11,000 followers. Some of her posts have almost 400,000 likes, although she says she's not making an income from her content. She uses the hashtag #HemFlickVan and Hemafru Swedish for stay-at-home girlfriend and housewife, and describes herself as a soft girl, an identity that embraces a softer, more feminine way of living rather than focusing on a career. The soft girl lifestyle has been micro trend on social media in different parts of the world since late 2010, but in Sweden, with 5 decades of policies designed to promote dual income households behind it, the concept's recent popularity has sparked both surprise and division. Now, one thing I noticed as I'm reading this is all of the things she says that she's doing with her free time do not benefit the man, right? So she's getting coffee. I guess you could say the gym, maybe, right? And I'm not saying she's not, I don't know. But what I've noticed is oftentimes when I hear women, claim to be traditional or that they want traditional outcomes, it's just to avoid working. It's not to avoid working for the husband, right? Or to work hard so his life is better. It's I just don't want to do the hard things anymore. Okay, Sweden's largest annual survey of young people first put the national spotlight on Sweden's embracing the soft girl trend a year ago. After the popular choice, when 15 to 24-year-olds were asked to predict trends for 2024. Another study this August suggested it was even becoming an aspiration among younger schoolgirls, with 14% of 7 to 14-year-old girls identifying as soft girls. You know what's interesting? They will identify as soft girls, but when you poll that same group of women on where they rank men in their priority list, it's still seventh. It's like they have traveling above men, you know. It's about learning, it's about leaning away from this boss girl idea that we've been seeing for lots of years, where there are very, very high demands for success in every aspect of life. There is no official data for the number of soft girls quitting work altogether and living off their partners, but it is likely to be a small proportion. But it's nevertheless becoming a major talking point in Sweden, from opinion pieces in broadsheet newspapers to panel discussions at Almedalen, a huge annual cross-party political event, and on Swedish public service television. The co-founder and former leader of the Sweden Feminist Party says she's taken part in recent debates on the issue. She believes women living off their partners is very dangerous and a step backwards for gender equality. Yeah, I'm sure it's very... let me get this straight. She didn't say quit working to have kids. She said quit working to live a soft girl life. I don't know. I think it doesn't sound too dangerous to me. Fellas in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you could do a soft man life. Gun to your head. You're forced to get coffee, go to the gym. Could you guys do it? Could you? I don't know. Could you make it? She also thinks there's a lack of awareness about life in Sweden before it embraced policies designed to promote gender equality, such as heavy subsidized childcare and shared parental leave. Young women today don't carry the history of how hard women had to fight to get their rights, the right to work, the right to have a salary, and the right to economic independence. She looks exactly how I thought she would look. I won't even lie to you guys. Okay, at the other end of this political spectrum, the Swedish Democrat Party has always been positive towards the soft girl trend. I think that people should get to decide their own life. And if you have the economic possibility of living off your partner, then good for you. We still live in a country with all the opportunities to have a career. We have all the rights, but we have the right to live more traditionally. Aside from ideological debates, discussions have focused on the social and cultural aspects that could be influencing young women to quit work, or at least aspire to softer lifestyles. Sweden has a reputation for work-life balance. Most employees get 6 weeks holiday, with less than 1% working more than 50 hours a week. Still, research suggests that rising stress levels amongst young people and believes soft girl trends might be an extension of the recent global work trends such as quiet quitting, which encourages employees not to overextend themselves. Meanwhile, the Gen Z age group are making and being influenced by social media content that celebrates leisure time rather than career goals. Work really doesn't Work doesn't really feature that much if you look at lifestyle content on social media today. It's more about exercise and wellness. And if that's the picture young people have of what a normal life looks like, then of course you're not going to be excited about spending 8 hours a day in a office. But perhaps the biggest talking point is whether the trend is a response to the limitations of Sweden's pioneering equality policies. Sweden has the highest proportion of working mothers in Europe, yet government stats suggest that women in heterosexual couples still do a larger share of the housework than men. Oh my gosh. I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I cannot hear about how hard housework is when we have dishwashers, Roombas. I mean, I even saw a Roomba mop thing the other day. We have air fryers, and we're complaining because we have to do 10% more housework than men. Uh, could we just say thank you for running the whole infrastructure of society? Thanks for inventing pretty much everything statistically. YouTube, that's not hate speech. That's a statistical fact. Um, I'm really tired of this feminist talking point. I just want it to stop. Please, God, please end it. They also take 70% of state-funded parental leave and are more likely to go on sick leave for stress. Meanwhile, the income gap between men and women remains lower than the EU average of 12%, and it has stalled around 10% since 2019. Miss Larson, who wants to have children in the future, says her decision to be a stay-at-home girlfriend is partly watching older women struggle to juggle a career and home life. You know what's so interesting to me? I always hear these ladies say they struggle to juggle a career and home life. And I just wonder how they would have did on the farm like 150 years ago. I'm not trying to say it's not a lot. But when we have state-sponsored daycare, you don't even have to watch your kid anymore. You can send them off to school at like 3 now. So, okay, the first 3 years you're busy, maybe like your career takes a hit. But I mean, are we really? I'm thinking out loud here. I'm thinking out loud. Are we really gonna say that the farm work 100 years ago was easier than your assistant job? Or the farm work, or some women worked in factories, right? You know, like 50 years ago. Like that was, or they worked, I've even seen like they were sewing and stuff, by hand. I'm just saying the housework they did 100 years ago. I watched A Day in the Life of the Amish, and they were scooping poop. I'm like, you guys want to do that? I don't know. I might pick the assistant job. Throw the kid, and I was thinking the birth rate's pretty low. I mean, how many? It's not like you guys got 5 kids. I mean, my family did, right? But we were the exception. You got 1, 2 kids, you can throw them in day. I'm not saying you should do that, but if I'm looking at the stats here, you ladies, we have 1.5 children in public school that get there at 3 years old, so you get 8 hours a day. I mean, I could make an air fryer meal in 30 minutes. You throw the dishes in the dishwasher, it takes you an hour. I mean, what are you guys doing all day? That's my question. Am I wrong for asking this? I don't know. Okay, so Sweden's state-funded Gender Equality Act, Sweden's state-funded Gender Equality Agency, Peter Winstrom, head of Department for Policy Analysis and Monitoring, believes the soft girl trend can be viewed as a rational reaction to the perceived demands experienced by young women. I mean, the demands again, ladies, I don't want to harp on us too much. There's some of you out there, like I used to sell at one point in my life. I sold plumbing tech. I worked for this guy. He had a startup, really, really cool guy. And he invented this plumbing system. And I knew nothing about plumbing, but I tried to sell this system. And I would go to these plumbing schools and I would book the meetings and we would go there and show them how to use it. Okay, I didn't really show them. I just booked the meeting. But, but, and they worked really hard at those plumbing schools. And I would see one woman in the whole class. So I'm sure she worked really hard. But I can't say that like when one of the most female dominated industries is assistance, which no hate, I'm not saying it's like, I'm just saying comparatively, right? If I had to pick, going into the sewers, unclogging poop, yeah, putting together a house, I think scheduling meetings would be a little easier. I don't know, and I do think that we can go home and make a meal for 3 people and maybe do 60% of the dishes. I think we'll make it. I don't know. She is working. All right. An economist of one of Sweden's largest pension funds says she does not believe enough Swedish girlfriends or wives will quit work for it to have an impact on the country's economy. Yeah, I would agree, and all the trends will tell you that. Um, the ladies, this is kind of what's happened the last 50 years. So the ladies we said, please let us work. We want to work, let us go into the workforce. We want to do it. And the men said, you're going to hate it. And we said, no, come, we're going to love it. You guys get to wear suits. I want to wear a suit jacket. Let us go. I'll be a plumber. You guys have the cool hats. And the men said, are you sure? You wanna do the military? We said, yeah, I love camo. And they're like, no, you have to do what camo, and so they said, all right, ladies, go ahead, go do the jobs. And we did, we went to work. And now 50 years later, we're like, this is kind of hard. I don't get to really see my kids. Now I'm divorced because, I accidentally slept with my boss, and don't clip that, and we're going to have, that's improv, right? But, but this has been tough. We're ready. We're ready to go back to the kitchen. We're ready. And the men are like, what? You guys have just shit on us for for 50 years. You guys have all these tattoos statistically. You have all this debt. I'm not paying this debt. You guys aren't even in shape. Good luck. And that's where we get the what do you bring to the table conversation. They're like, what can you bring me now? And then, then we make up words that mean nothing, right? Then that's what I would notice. I would do the shows and we would ask, like, what do you bring to the table? And I would hear peace. And I'm thinking, what woman has realistically brought peace ever? I mean, even the best, you don't think Melania Trump brings drama to Trump? Even the best of the best, the A-level women. Do you guys really believe they just bring pure peace? Really? Pure? And they would just describe, they would say that I make a house a home. And I would think, I mean, how do you do that? What makes a house a home? And they would describe to me, do you know what they would describe to me, guys? They would describe to me decorating. I mean, I'm not saying decorating is unimportant, I'm not saying, this backdrop, shout out to my producer, does wonder. What a great backdrop. But the men are much more, I can live with it. I don't need it, right? And so I don't know if we're really going to have this wave of ladies that at a young age, before they're fat, debt ridden with tattoos, are going to say, yes, I want to be a wife and a mother, and I'm ready to have more than a kid. I hope it could happen. I'm not saying it can't, but yeah, they said they bring a kid from another dude. Yeah. I'm going to read the chat, which, by the way, if you guys do want to be a part of, go to theaudacitynetwork.com. You don't have to donate after you do the $10 a month membership. And then I read your comment. You just have to go into the live chat. Joel says, women are vastly underrepresented in construction jobs. We need them to do something about this problem. I know, I'm waiting. You know, the soft girl life. No. I mean, go. Construction's waiting for you. Xavier, this sounds perfect for women. Live the good life, doing little while getting to fight with other women about how good it is. Bill Burr, Joel says, any job you can do in your pajamas is not that difficult. Yeah, and you know, again, that's why when I hear the ladies talking about how overwhelmed they are, I just don't have a lot of sympathy, right? Because for me, I'm in media. This is the best job. And I thank you guys every day for allowing me to do this. You guys are amazing. Like, seriously. I could not do what I do without you guys. And it's the best job. But what I'm not going to do is pretend that an assistant, even what I do, a media personality, a teacher, is anywhere as close to as difficult as a construction worker, working in an oil rig, a coal mine. I won't do it. I won't buy into this delusion. So while we're complaining more and saying we need a soft life, if anything, the guy working in the coal mine for 20 years deserves a soft life. I just don't know if I have this sympathy for the human resources job. I just don't. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not the same. Okay, so the next story we're going to talk about is Hawk Tuah. So as you guys know, the Hawk Tuah girl, I guess you could say, is a young woman who was interviewed on the streets in Nashville, who went stupid viral for talking about how much she likes to give, I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but let's just say a certain sexual favor. And this blew up. It became a viral sensation because it really captured a very genuine moment. You know, an inappropriate moment, but, you know, she really had a girl next door feel, and she was enthusiastic about that. I just think it was kind of, it was kind of a funny clip, and it goes viral. Now, she ends up getting her own podcast and becoming, I don't know if she's a millionaire overnight, but if she's not now, she will be soon. And recently, she launched a crypto coin. Now, please, guys, don't ask me any crypto questions. I don't fully understand it. I understand the Bitcoin, but the different crypto, I don't know. But apparently, people are calling for her to be jailed, with fans losing life savings after buying her cryptocurrency. Within 20 minutes of the launch of Hawk Tuah Girl's own cryptocurrency, it tanked, leaving some fans without their life savings. Which one of you, who put their life savings into Hawk Tuah's cryptocurrency? I don't want to say that you deserve it, right? I don't want to say you deserve to lose it. I'm not going to say that word for word. I just don't know why would you do that? What would be the purpose? Haley Welch has been doing all right for herself since shooting to stardom without actually wanting to find fame, after she gave an NSFW comment to the question, what makes a guy go crazy in bed? Her reply earned the influencer her nickname. She pretended to spit by saying, Hawk Tuah spit on that thing. You know, it went viral, and she's a huge name now, having garnered almost 3 million Instagram followers and releasing her own podcast. She's brought out her own clotheslines with the word Hawk Tuah branded on caps and other items of clothing. She's now tested the cryptocurrency industry and debuted her own meme coin called Hawk. The coin's value tanked completely within 20 minutes of its launch, plummeting from 490 million to just 41 million, leaving fans out of pocket. I'm actually shocked it's for 41 million. Okay, I mean, maybe you guys understand that I don't get it, the crypto, but it has left investors claiming she carried out a rug pull, which creators of a cryptocurrency sell off their stock, leading to prices crashing, and those who put money into it with coins worth next to nothing. However, Welch has denied these accusations and defended her and her team's actions during a live stream to Twitter. Hawkonomics team hasn't sold one token, nor one KOL was given one free token. She tweeted in a copy and paste message. We tried to stop snipes at best. The best we could do through high fees and the start of a launch at Metra AG. Fees have now been dropped. But readers added their own context to the tweet, claiming her team sold. It read, the team and insiders have actually been selling their tokens since launch. A majority have never purchased anything and only sold the tokens they were given. Haley is lying, and we will likely have to hawk Tua to a judge about this. During the live stream, YouTube investigator Stephen Coffeezilla joined and gave a viral sensation the viral sensation a bit of a grilling. He said, "This is one of the most miserable, horrible launches I've ever seen. I've been tracing it on the chain for a while. You guys generated over $1 million in fees while your fans got rug pulled. They pulled snipers, but there was also insider trading linked directly to y'all's creator accounts. One person took to Twitter claiming they'd bought $35,000 worth of coins, but it turned out to be $2,000 10 minutes later. I am a huge... Oh my gosh. Why would you... What is... I am a huge fan of Hawk Tua, but you took my life savings. I am really trying to be empathetic here. I'm really trying. And maybe I'm not a crypto expert. Maybe there was some. I mean, is there something is there something smart about this decision that I don't know? Is there? Okay. I purchased your coin that you were excited about with my life savings, and now my children's college education fund as well. You put your children's college education fund into a Hawk Tua coin. I'm really trying to understand. I'm really again, maybe there's something. Okay, I'll just keep going. You didn't mention that you were going to buy 97% of the supply and sell it almost immediately to make a large profit. So it turns out the Hawk Tua crypto meme coin was not a good investment. And the top comment on this article is, really, people, you bought this. Look who's representing and selling this 15 minutes of fame chick with no financial knowledge. She'll probably be living in the same trailer she was raised in. Most startup companies fail quickly. Xavier has another comment. She should be after the grift. Simps gotta pay. That's how we learn as men. Again, if you guys want your comments read, go to theaudacitynetwork.com. You get the $10 a month or $80 a year, and then your comments are read for the rest of the year. So, or the rest of the month, depending on how long you keep it. Okay, so next on the agenda, there was a woman that went super viral on Twitter. And you have to understand, guys, I'm on Twitter, okay? And I love a good tweet, okay? But you really do have to roll with the punches on Twitter, because Twitter is an app where they will roast you. They will insult you. I mean, the level of bots on Twitter is also crazy. You might even accidentally, there's like corn accounts on Twitter that just randomly come up on your feed. So if you post something on Twitter, just know that I don't have a lot of sympathy if it goes viral for the wrong reasons because people are not nice to anybody on Twitter. Um, Even Elon Musk has critics, and it's his app, okay? So there was a woman who posted a picture of her PhD. And apparently, this was a PhD in, oh, let me get the name of the, okay, I'll just read the article. A recent UK grad's thesis examining olfactory oppression has raised quite the stink on the internet, with online critics slamming her academic work as the reason everything's falling apart. Thrilled to say I passed my Viva exam with no corrections and officially PhD done. Allie Locks, who earned her postgraduate degree in English literature from Cambridge University. The simple post has received 90 million views and tens of thousands of comments. So this woman, she's just tweeting her picture, yay, I got my degree. And she went to Twitter. You could have picked Instagram. You could have picked TikTok. But ma'am, you picked Twitter. And Twitter is not for the weak of heart. All right. It just isn't. So this got her 90 million views, tens of thousands of comments. The thesis titled Olfactory Ethics, the Politics of Smell in Modern and Contemporary Prose, examined how scent facilitates smell's application in creating and subverting gender, class, sexual, racial, and species power structures. According to the abstract, the thesis states the olfactory disgust can reject a person's rejection. Okay, so we have a liberal white woman doing nothing and having a degree that makes her feel more special than she is. And, up until this point in her life, she's probably had everybody just clapping, She gets her, she's probably like 30 now to get a PhD, or 28, 29. She goes to school and just never leaves, and probably has a boatload of debt that she hasn't had to deal with yet. Or the government, she's in the UK, they have more student loans there. So, or it's been free. But when I was in the UK, there was people that had debt, just not as much as here. So I still think they deal with that there. Online critics needed smelling salts after reading what they deemed to be woke-sounding academic gobbledygook. One ex-user alleged that the thesis was nothing more than bullshit language, unnecessary big words, and prestigious sentence structure. Her thesis is basically, if you say someone stinks, people like them less. Another critic, biotech scientist Dr. Simon, wrote, "Academia is dead," in a response to Dr. Loke's post. "We can no longer take these elite universities seriously," he said. Cambridge lecturer says that she is genuinely bamboozled by the sheer volume of people entirely miscategorizing the subject of my thesis. She then took to the comments to defend her work. Then so Homath actually made the New York Post from his comment, which read, where did it go? I miss it. Sorry, this is kind of glitchy, the website. This woman is why everything is falling apart. She just got an ultimate BS degree, a PhD about why describing smells is racist. I read the abstract for you. It's full of BS language, unnecessary words, the prestigious sentence structure. She could have said, oh my gosh, there's a next. All right, her internet's kind of slow, guys. Sorry. All right, but she responded to outright threats and vile comments by saying that she contacted the police about... I hate it. You know what? Thank you for keeping me employed. I can't hate these ladies because you really, if it weren't, no, I actually want to issue a thank you to my gender. And not all I need to because I'm on YouTube. Not all, not all, not all. Please go to theaudacitynetwork.com because I question if they're going to let me back in. Um, um, ladies, I just want to say thank you for being insane. If it weren't for the ladies like you, I would not have a job. If you guys got together and said, you know what, we're going to be perfectly sane and reasonable and, you know, do real work and not say crazy things, I would be unemployed. And I like this job. So thank you very much. Okay. She contacted the police about the post. So let me get this straight. Men get roasted on the internet all the time. I mean, we have 50 years of media saying men are trash, men are the problem. We don't need men. I don't need a man. And they don't do anything. They don't contact the police. They just say, whatever, I got better things to do. They go play their video games. They go do whatever. And, you know, she got roasted on the internet and she thought that at 30, like, I'm guessing like 25 to 30 something, old enough, right? Old enough to not be a kid. Like men, they serve in war. Like they can be deployed at like 18. So I think a decade of your 20s, you're an adult, right? She couldn't take internet criticism, so she contacted the police. You know, if internet criticism is the bar for contacting the police, then I should have been at the police station years ago. I should have filed a report against all you crazy ladies on TikTok. Okay, so to be clear, the abstract was written for experts within my discipline and field. It was not written for a lay audience, and that is how I would communicate. It is not how I would communicate my ideas to the average person, she wrote. So now she's saying I'm smarter than you. And I'm sure the public they love being told that this woman with a PhD is saying that you just can't understand my work. Not all of the reactions to her post were negative, many sticking their noses to defend the recent graduate. Large numbers of people are heaping abuse and mockery. Of course. I love when we just throw abuse around. You know, if getting mocked or if getting made fun of online is the bar for abuse, then I get abused. Oh, my life is so hard. A nice lady who's proud of earning a PhD, demonstrating the worst thing you can do in social media is earnest and vulnerable, especially if you're a woman. Oh my God, not the woman card. Congratulations both for finishing and for very possibly being the first woman in history whose dissertation will be read by someone who is not their mom or on their committee. She doesn't appear to be giving the negative reactions a second sniff, with the Cambridge lecturer claiming they're primarily coming from a minority of disgruntled folks. The majority of those commenting and quote tweeting are doing so with generosity, intellectual curiosity, and kindness, she wrote. Okay, so, I just think this delusion never ends. She had 90 million people telling her that she was an idiot, and at the end of it, she still thinks she's smart. This is crazy. Guys, if you do want to leave a comment, we just hit double digits on the live chat on the website, which is pretty exciting for the Audacity gang. So go on there. And I do read your comments if you put anything in the chat. Also, we do have a fundraiser for the divorce documentary. As you guys know, we are demonetized, meaning we have to raise funds for it so we can finish it. The GoFundMe link is in the description. And we also have merch, theaudacitymerch.com. Okay, so I need to get through my plug. So now the main topic of today. So as you guys know, I did panel shows for about 2 years. And when I did panel shows, it's really interesting when you interview women of different age groups, because you start to see patterns of behavior from women in all different areas of their life, right? So, I would talk to a woman at 21 and you say older women are not as good looking as young women. And the 21-year-old woman, I mean, she just laughs. She says, aha, or whatever. But then you talk to a woman at 30, and all of the sudden, she's triggered. You also start to get, feedback from women as to why they left their husbands, you know, and it's like, it's really weird. You start to see the ages at which women, find God, like at 30, 20, it's past 25, under 35, they go to church and, they got to hit that rebrand because, the Nala's husbands of the world, like somebody's got to take Nala, coming to a church near you. So Myron had a tweet that went viral, and it was talking about the wall. Now, what is the wall? So the wall in women is when women realize they cannot compete with their younger self. So women, we just have a tendency to notice aging before men do. I'll give you guys an example, or I guess small flaws we notice quicker. I would do a show, and sometimes after the show, like my producer would tell me like a woman he found attractive or a woman, whatever. And it would actually floor me how low men's attraction floor is. I mean, we do have ranking systems, but to guys, it's really just would or wouldn't. It's just, is she hot enough to be above his attraction floor? And like a woman would be kind of fat, right? But she would have big boobs and he would be like, good enough, And so Myron had a tweet that went viral responding to this video of Pamela Anderson. Now, if you don't know, Pamela Anderson was a bombshell in the 80s and 90s. She was a superstar, A-list celebrity. She was at 22 on the cover of Playboy back then. She did Baywatch. She was in prominent TV series. She's been on Broadway. She, back in the day, was, a 10. And this is her now. So she's 57.
Having famously opted against wearing makeup in recent years, how did it feel to put it back on for this film?
Oh, for the film?
Yeah.
I mean, I love to wear makeup too sometimes. It's just a time and a place. I just feel in my personal life it just didn't really make sense.
What's your definition of beauty these days?
Being brave and living your dreams. It's never too late to never give up.
Thank you so much.
Now, let's be clear. For 57, most guys, right? One in the chat, if your wife looked like this at 57, most men would be okay with it, right? I mean, that's pretty good for 57. But that is not the point. The point is, compared to her younger self, she's practically invisible. Compared to being on the front cover of magazines, she does not garner even close to the amount of attention that she did when she was 22. And now she has all these feelings words about what beauty is, when at 22, if you asked her, I bet she would say blonde hair, big boobs, skinny. That's beauty. Now, they do all this emotional language because she doesn't have it anymore and she really just has to cope. So Myron, again, he is in an even, in an even better position than me to comment on this because he still does the live shows 3 days a week. I think he's interviewed, I was around like 2,000 people when I stopped. I'm pretty sure he's around 4,000 women. And he's been literally doing the panel shows for years, 3 days a week, and at one point 6. And so he's had the opportunity to see the women at 22 on OnlyFans, see them delete, go to church, or he sees the women that were on his show married, divorced. You see people go through different cycles because they come back. He says the wall is uneffing defeated. Women truly do age like milk, especially white blondes. Ladies, get married and have children before it's too late. This woman is an icon in the 1980s and 1990s Baywatch. So this was her on the left, right? A bombshell. This is her now. Not bad, right? For 60, but comparatively nothing. And the thing is, people were very triggered by this. And the entire media thrives on convincing us that we will be young forever and good looking forever. Now, technology is getting better and better. So let's say we make it to 90. Let's say we can be hot, and this is really stretching it, but let's just say us ladies can pull off being hot till 45. I Googled her 10 years ago and she was still attractive. I think that's a stretch, but let's be super generous today. That means you still spend the second half of our lives going to be nearly invisible. And women have written articles about this feeling of being completely invisible over a certain age and how men just do not notice them or pay attention to them anymore. And the difficult thing about, red pill content is that they're constantly reminding us that we're going to age and be invisible. And on an innate level, we all dread that. So, Xavier weighs in and says, some of you have watched so much pornography that it has warped your perception of reality. Pamela is almost 60 with no makeup on in the photo. She looks good for her age. The post is just a reflection of your ongoing hatred towards women. So, we had Xavier on the show. Nice guy, right? But I just disagree because I don't believe anything that what Myron is saying is untrue. We do age like milk. It just is what it is, You can't say that comparatively she's anywhere near as attractive as, what she was at one point. Then we have women, and this is the thing, women just constantly have to shelter each other from the truth of, she says, pay attention to how men talk about other women, especially older women. Aging is inevitable. And if they're obsessing over how Pamela Anderson hit the wall at 56, they don't want you for life. They want you for your 20s. Okay, number one, he said ladies get married because this doesn't last forever. That was Myron's point. His point was that if you don't invest in a man, this will not last for your looks are fading. They're fleeting, right? And maybe you disagree. Maybe you think that, I have to be honest, nowadays, people throw their parents in nursing homes. I wouldn't even bank on your kids for the second half of life to entertain you. Because I think that's the idea. You'll be around your grandkids. And growing up, I saw my grandparents a couple times a year, but it wasn't, anything that crazy. It was actually funny when I was in high school. I spent like a month at my grandma's house, and I remember thinking that, because I would be the DD for her and her friends, and I remember thinking that they partied harder than we did, because I would go to karaoke nights, and all the widows would get together, they were going out. Okay, so then you get this, whenever you remind women that they age, right? That they're getting older, your neck's getting some wrinkles, you get some veins, and by the way, we could say the wall's 30, right? But it is nothing near, 30 is nothing compared to this, right? Most 30-year-old women that are in shape, 35, even 40-year-old women, they get at least a minimal, compared to a 20-year-old, nothing. But this is invisible, right? No guy is going to stop and say, dang, what a hottie, All right, she said, yes, I'm 70 and I look my age, fit, vibrant, and a few lines. That's how we're supposed to look at 70. Any man that thinks I hit the wall isn't my guy. Pamela Anderson looks wonderful as far as I'm concerned. Good for her. I'd love to be 57 again with what I know. Honestly, this is why when women start complimenting you, I just have a tendency to think they're insulting me whenever women compliment me, because what I see is women like cheering on women that are unequivocally not that attractive anymore. And I never see them cheering on like Pamela Anderson at 22. I never see them cheering on. I only see that, like, I'll see them cheer on, I'm not trying to be rude, Vivek. If you see this, I'm a fan. Sorry, not Vivek. What's his name? Oh my gosh, hold on. I am blanking on a name. Oh wait, sorry. JD Vance's wife. I would see all the ladies saying, oh, like, I trust the men that have hot wives. And I'm like, his wife is cute, yeah, but I mean, she's no like Pamela, no disrespect, Vance, she's no Pamela Anderson, in the 90s. She's not like a ring girl. So I never see ladies cheer on women that are actually really attractive. I only see them cheer on average looking women. Okay, so what else went on X? Okay, so now I wanted to also talk about, and then there was also a comment when this live started that I just thought was really hilarious. I was just laughing at it. So this woman named Jocelyn really wanted me to know, and thank you for letting me know. I just will never be as beautiful as Pamela. She's even more beautiful than you, Pearl. Stop talking down on other women. Find something to do with your life. Yes, getting old is normal. Get a life. It's crazy. I get paid to be here. She's doing it for free. She's complaining on my comment section for free. And, I promise you at 57, it's an 100% certainty I will be uglier than Pamela Anderson. It's not even a question. That'll happen. And on that day, you guys are welcome to say I told you. That's totally fine. Aging is normal. But what's not normal, I'll tell you the not normal, is pretending that you're that hot as a 50-year-old, as a 40-year-old. I mean, I guess surgeries have extended it a little bit, but let's not pretend that there's many 10s above the age of 25, really. So, that's the abnormal part is not becoming mid, looks fading. That's not abnormal. What is abnormal is pretending you're still hot at 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. That's weird. I mean, a 70-year-old woman tweeted me her selfie today. What is wrong with the internet? I mean, if that doesn't show the delusion that we are having in this country with our gender, I don't know what to tell you. I don't see broke men tweeting me their, run down cars and saying, look, I'm rich. Look at my ride. I just don't see it. I don't see obese men tweeting me their fat pictures telling me that they're hot. I don't even see guys with like old dad bods that just kind of let themselves go. I don't see them tweeting me their pictures telling me that they still got it. That's just what we're doing, ladies. I don't really get it. Okay. But one way that I've noticed, so I had a tweet that I like to troll a little bit on Twitter. So oftentimes I'll just tweet that younger women are better looking than older women. I'll just say, women are hotter at 25 than 35 or whatever it is. And I just think it's hilarious to see all these old women tweet me their selfies. And I noticed a strategy that women have been enacting in order to get more sexual attention from men. They get naked. So what they do is at 25, they'll have their clothes on, right? So they'll kind of look normal. They'll have a cute picture of them smiling. And then at 35, what they'll do is, in order to elicit the same amount of attention, they will just get more naked. And then they'll say, guys, which do you prefer? And the men love naked women. So if you ask the men, oftentimes they might say the naked one because, they're guys. They're visual creatures, right? So Um, said you have Asian genes. Yeah, and then you get all the simps gassing her up and trying to F and telling her she looks no different. And the other thing they do is, let me see, there's another woman that tweeted at me, right? Okay, this woman. And I guess she has a platform. I don't know who she is. And so what I think she did was, again, here at 25 or 20 or 19, whatever it was, the younger picture, she didn't have to take her clothes off because, she was cute. And then she's older, so she has to get into a more slutty outfit, right? And then what you noticed is they don't look like I thought she looked like that picture. And then I looked at her show and I see, in that picture with the filter, she looks like 20 something. And then I go on her show and she looks like a middle-aged woman. I'm like, guys, if you're going to prove the point, could you, could you just be honest with what we're working with here? Like, if you really look that good at 35, there shouldn't have to be a filter. I mean, this is what we have here. We go back to here. I mean, these cheekbones look completely different, so then we got the men disagreeing because they're trying to smash, obviously. They're trying to, so anyways, so I this morning I decided to watch Pamela Anderson's documentary on her life because really I was kind of interested in, she maintained her sexual appeal for like a decade. So her career started at 22. Pamela was just imagine just sitting at a baseball game and being so beautiful that they call you onto the stadium or baseball field, whatever, and they put the camera on you and they tell you to go onto the field. And you garner so much attention just based on your face and your body that Hugh Hefner calls you up and says, I want you to be on the cover of Playboy. Not just, he wants you on the cover, not just in the magazine, on the cover. At the time, women would kill for that. Now, back then, there's clips of her doing the photo shoot, and she's full, nude. Her boobs are completely out in it. Don't go watch it just because I said, but she's full on basically naked. And I think it showed pretty much everything. And you could just tell, she's enjoying it. There's this idea that the young models didn't enjoy it. They're coerced. The men made them. No, she was very excited to do that. Now, then she ends up getting a role on Baywatch. And she kind of goes through now Baywatch is a show from, I think, the 80s and 90s. And it just, it shows the dream of people, basically young, hot teenagers moving to California and living the dream. Now, at the time, she was dating a lot of guys. She went through a bunch of famous men she dated. I'd never heard of them. Different generation. Didn't really care. But she was dating one guy. And she ends up meeting Tommy Lee. Now, Tommy Lee, she married after 4 days of knowing him while dating another guy. She went to Mexico for a shoot and he showed up, she met him and married him 4 days later. Imagine you're saying bye to your girlfriend, you're on the phone with her and you say, all right, dear, have fun on your vacation. And she calls you back a week later and she said, I got to tell you something. I'm married. I am married. Now, I'm going to give you guys some notes that I took from watching this documentary. So when she was married to Tommy, she had a sex tape that was leaked. And I guess this was one of the first big sex tapes that was leaked. And, Tommy Lee was a rock star. I think he still performs with his band. They claim that it was stolen by people that were working in their house. I see there is incentive for them to lie about that. So I don't know if it really was or they just say that. I couldn't really tell you. But one day they get into a really intense argument. Now, who knows what caused the argument? We don't know what she was doing first. But in this argument, he ends up shaking her, right? Now, in California, the domestic abuse laws are very, very strict. So she ends up calling the police, and the public perception was really that he hit her. And she really milked this whole, abused woman thing at the time. Because you guys know there's power in victimhood. So even a woman as high status as her at the time and as beautiful with all the choice in the world, she's still going through the same patterns, right? And he ends up spending 6 months in jail because of this, right? So he ends up going to jail for 6 months because she called the cops on him. They get divorced. They had 2 kids in that time period. She marries Kid Rock after and ends up marrying 5 times in her lifetime. So all of the beauty in the world can't make somebody be likable in a relationship. And, she talked about a lot of the consequences of her bad decisions. Now, it's interesting because now we have an OnlyFans generation. So it'll be really interesting to see just how common it is for children to have mothers that were on OnlyFans. And her son talked about in the documentary how there was just a string of men going in and out of his life. And he only viewed his dad as a father figure because all the other men would just come and go. And on top of that, she talked about wanting to shield her son from the sex tape. And he ended up finding out at school, and the kids all made fun of him. And he said that it felt like everyone else knew something about his family that he didn't. And again, I thought it was interesting to learn from this because she had all the beauty in the world and still ended up in the same position as many, modern, what millennial women are going to end up in. So what are the consequences of this? What are the consequences of these decisions? She probably will die alone. Yeah, it's not because she's not attractive enough to get another man. Because let's be honest, number one, there's always a guy somewhere that will do it. There was a man who married Riley Reid. There is some guy that will sign up. I'm sure in her age group, amongst, like, she could date a 70-year-old dude, 70-year-old man, pull it off. But the challenge is, the challenge with the wall is that the more we extend it when women settle down, the more debt and baggage we come with in relationships. And she has the baggage of 5 marriages. She has the baggage of 2 kids. And, the next man has to compete with a whirlwind romance that involved domestic abuse. It involved having the paparazzi follow her and her ex around. And it involved getting married after 4 days. So how is an average man going to come in and be able to compete with that? It's literally impossible. Now, on the bright side, Liam Nelson said he's platonically in love with her. I don't know what that means. And she will probably be employed forever because Hollywood keeps casting old women instead of hot women in all their movies. Because again, women make 80% of consumer buying decisions, so they have to cater the media towards women. And women don't like to see super attractive women in media. So what they tend to do is they tend to cast either young women that just aren't that attractive, or they cast old women that are past their prime. So, she did a film on Broadway. She also is in a movie now. She just released a book. So back in her 20s, her fan base was male. She was on Playboy. She was the hot woman in Baywatch. And now her fans are female. And you see that as the attractiveness dwindles in women, unless it's maybe conservative media or another niche, what they tend to do is they tend to switch and go get a female audience for the second half of life. Now, will this last forever? I don't know. Will women's debt catch up to them where they don't have the buying power we did before? Possible. I don't see it changing anytime soon, but we'll see. And now she did the documentary, cookbook, interviews, but you see it's all pro-woman media. And what about her ex? her ex-husband married a woman that was 30 years younger than him. So, her ex-husband made the mistake of marrying a hot, crazy woman, and he paid for it by her ruining his reputation and making it difficult for him to see the kids at times and spending 6 months in jail. But now he's married. Now he's married to someone 30 years younger. So I think a lot of men identify to that because they see their exes, who reject them for whatever reason in their 20s, divorce them, leave them. And they just see their lives go downhill because they don't have the skills to manage money. She even talked about how she didn't really make any money from all of the endeavors she did. And so when a young woman like Hawk Tua comes along and, men kind of expect her to go broke the same way they see their ex-wives go broke, the same way they saw Pamela Anderson go broke and lose their beauty. Because we just have a tendency to not do productive things with the gifts that society and life and God gave us, right? And it was also interesting because she resents what made her famous. In the documentary, she talked about how she hoped that she could do something that had nothing to do with her body, but what she fails to understand is that if she didn't have her body and her look, she wouldn't have been in those rooms to begin with. She would be working a normal job at a grocery store or as an assistant or whatever, right? So this is what I noticed is women like her want to be free. They want to have these intense love affairs. They want the roller coaster. They want marry a man in 4 days, fall in love, have his kids, break up, get back together. And, that's why throughout the documentary, she said, I never loved anyone like I loved my first husband. But the challenge with women like that is, they have, again, she would have had to, in order to make her marriage work, she likely would have had to give up some of the opportunities and fame. She was married going naked on SNL. Or at least she was talking about it in an interview I saw. So the way that the ladies view it is I can be myself or I can have love. You can't generally have both. I can be myself, do all the stuff that I love. And now that's why she said at the end of her documentary that she felt like she was more herself than she'd ever been. And I'd say that's probably because she's going to be by herself more than she's ever been. Okay. But unfortunately for us ladies, we have the curse of being ourselves is the curse of chasing excitement, getting bored, and not liking the truth. Now, to end the show, I want to show you guys Pamela Anderson saying that she did regret leaving her ex-husband. And also, if you guys will have a comment, I'm going to read them after this clip. Go to theaudacitynetwork.com, $10 a month, $80 a year. There's also merch. I'll show you guys at the end of the show. I'll show you the merch.
The dad and being good, does that make you kind of fall back in love with him?
I've never been out of love with Tommy.
What happened? Why? It seems to me like maybe that should have been the perfect union.
It probably should have. We probably should have stuck it out. I don't know. I hope he, but again, at the time, it was this craziness going on. We had all those people following us around. We were married young, married quick, had babies right away. And then, and then I think he was like, the whole point, when he went to jail and everything like that was he was taking steroids. I thought he was on heroin. I was finding these needles, It was like he was trying to get big and for me.
Buff.
For me.
Right.
So it's kind of sad. But, we still didn't handle ourselves right and it fell apart. And we tried back and forth. And I don't think it's a good living relationship.
When you're around him and the kids bring back all the good times, like, hey, we were really in love. We actually had children together.
And the kids know that. They were born out of true love, like real love. So they know that.
Yeah, so she said, should have made it work. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys my merch really quick. So if you go to the shop, so these are the products. Some of these I can't say on YouTube, so you just have to go to the website. But we have equal rights, equal lefts right here, gray. Then we have, I like this one actually, the flag in the middle. Make men valuable again. I meant like to society, you know. There's Why Lie, She'll Complain Anyways. And then the last one I can't read on YouTube, but you guys can go to you go to justpearlymerch.com. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got today. All right, guys, make sure you like the video on your way out, subscribe, go to theaudacitynetwork.com too to get first access to our documentary. We are doing one about demonetized creators, and then we're raising one about the divorce documentary. So link to that's in the description if you want, no pressure. Like the video, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye-bye.